Start.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's another Monday, and you're welcome to 3,000 Miles, the show where we talk about home, we talk about everything and anything just to keep you informed, to keep you entertained, to keep you updated, and to give you that guide you need to be better and do better when you jackpot or when you are back home planning to jackpot abroad. Well, today I'm not alone. I'm still with the team. I'm still with the team. Big shout out to Dimeji. Dimeji, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. And how are you doing too?
I'm good. You're looking chilled. You're looking calm this morning. Is there no fire this afternoon?
There's fire, there's fire. The
Oh,
topic
there's
is
enough
actually
fire.
sensitive. So I'm starting from, when the plane wants to take a flight, you
Oh,
just take it
you're just on the wrong way. You're trying to gather momentum.
slow.
Well, say guy, how you doing today, man? How
Yeah,
is
I'm doing all
T-side?
right. Good. I'm doing
Yeah.
okay. Good to be here. It's a bit chilly today, so we hope
It's a
that the
bit
weather
chilly, and
picks it up for us.
it's on the south side of Glasgow.
And they enjoy now, and I get used
It's chilly
Now
here
the
too.
village, now
It
the
seems
village
as if
side, here we
this
did for you.
Dimeji, before
Good
I
to be here,
continue,
guys.
I showed you a video the other day of something in Belfast. How true was that?
which one precisely?
The video of I think like there were protests and military guys were going. They said the natives were wanting to get all immigrants out or something I saw online. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
how. Or is it
So
something old?
yeah, well, it's something that's from I want to be careful with my words. We are not um alien to it, or we are not, let me say, we are not, it's not a shocking thing to us. Yeah. um Belfast people are wonderful people, they're welcoming, but the society itself has its own unique characterization that they've just evolved from
Yeah.
civil war. They have their own battles amidst themselves, and so such agitations also transcends to the fact that some people don't understand how economy works. They
All
don't
right.
know people drive economy, and they don't know understand the fact that it is the workforce, like the middle class, that drive economy. And this is where the immigrants have come in. The immigrants are not necessarily the people who have come and encroach their land. These are people who
All
are
right.
professionals in their own right that have come to the land to come and work. You see them in all walks of life, NHS, name it, engineering and all. And as such, these people also deserve every right of stated in the human rights law.
Yeah.
And these people would settle in, and these people need also safety for their family. So I think some people don't understand the fact that it is not encroachment. It is
Yeah.
actually people coming into their workforce to also come and make a livelihood and all. So it has been some sort of you know, so things like that are not something that
Anyway,
we are not.
I know I stayed in Northern Ireland for a while, so if we start talking, we'll delve out of the topic because I stayed there
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
while, so I totally understand where you're coming from. Well,
Mm.
so let's go to the topic of today because I know people have been like, are we talking about Belfast today? No, definitely not. Um, the topic for today is the cultural shock syndrome. Part one. It's going to be in phases because it's a very wide topic. But not fear, cultural shock syndrome, not be sickness. Because when we say cultural shock, that thing sound like sickness. It's not a sickness. Well, it is actually, in some ways, it is. So that's what we're going to be talking today. And for those of you who are trying to want to listen to Jambo Radio, and you're like, how do we get to listen to Jambo Radio? Well, you can listen to us on different platforms. First of all, you can listen to us on your smart speaker. We are on your smart speaker, Jambo Radio, on your smart speaker all day. Or you can even connect on all our social media platforms, and the handle is at Jambo Radio. All our social media platforms from Facebook to X to Instagram to Thread to YouTube and even the social media when they never build, we don't put our platform there already. So you can connect with us, talk to us,
Normally.
and there's also a number to call if you find the conversation really interesting and you want to really join the conversation. There's a number to call, and the number is plus 44 if you're calling from abroad, but if you're calling from within, plus 44 from abroad, you have to put the postcode, the area code, which is plus 44, and it's 0141 530 2787. We're just here to listen to you and we should talk. Because sometimes you get the way you think will pinch you. You will say, I want to talk. Let me say something. Let me say something. This is a platform where you can actually share your experience and say something. So, Dimeji, or Williams, rather,
Yeah,
cultural shock syndrome. Let's break the topic down because the thing itself, the language is big. Let's
big, big,
let's
heavy.
let's break it down. Kick the ball rolling for us, my brother.
All right, that's fine. Another thing is, oh yeah, cap. I don't put it for a cap for it. I can't be like, oh no, like the step, like the adopted
You didn't
child for
get the
inside.
memo, right?
No, I didn't get it. You know. So, but anyway, cultural shock. It's simply that difference in culture between where you're coming from and where you are at the moment. That thing that leaves you speechless. Like, wow, this is how it is here. It's quite different from where I'm coming from. So and then there are quite a number of them. It's quite inexhaustive, really. But I'm glad we're doing it in parts. So there's room for exhaustive discussions on this particular topic. Um, I haven't discovered all because I'm pretty new in the country, and then I'm still discovering some. But I'll just start by saying one of the biggest ones that I noticed is their ability to mind their business, to stay on their own without interference. Or I mean, it's shocking, really. If na Naija we dey, as in say, in fact, if you go know almost everybody dey your street, as in you go know their names, possibly get phone numbers, you go see for road as e dey pass, you go hail am, you go greet am, you get. But I mean, here, my brother, if you dey here for as long as you'd want to, and they're not even get a hello from person, and so it's I mean it's quite different from, we'll get used to it. I'll give an instance. I was taking my boys to school recently, and then the floor was a bit slippery because it was raining at the time. So my oldest son, he slipped somewhat, and then he fell hard on the floor. And then one of our neighbors, the lady with her three kids, she was just behind us. She walked past him. She did not even look. She did not even say, Baba, how you did? Hope he didn't hurt you. Nothing, as in it was, the thing blew my head. I'm like, oh my, this is this is crazy. Now everybody go down, gather, boy, hope say nothing to you. As in, you get, but I mean, it was a huge shock. I'm like, even with something this serious, you know. Anyway, themselves, if they come Naija, then go serve the shock. Say, man, these people, they know they sabi put their mouth for expose there and all of that. But it's interesting. We live, we learn, we learn, unlearn, and all of those things. So it's quite exhaustive. Over to you guys. That's my bit of introduction for the topic today.
Dimeji, do you have anything to add? Oh, Dimeji is on hold. But for me, like I would say, cultural shock syndrome for me, in layman terms, so now they do for you.
That kind
That's
of
just the
thing.
word to
That
summarize it.
kind of thing.
That's all that be, yeah. Because
Oh my
I've
god.
asked myself that question over time at different occasions. I'm shocked. Like there's always this shock. But for the part you talked about minding their business, honestly, I don't know if I would disagree with you to a very large extent because Weibo people know they mind their I don't know, maybe T side they mind their but yeah. In a way, like they don't fraternize in terms of saying hi and all that thing. But they don't mind their business. If it's from that angle, I know I've experienced it. One of the first few experiences I've had, one of the first experiences I had recently, I got a car recently, and I was like, did I got a car? I parked it in front of my house. So after a while, I took the car to the garage. So I had to fix some things in the car. The car was in the garage. And then the car came back after about 3 weeks, and I was fixing a couple of things. And then a neighbor of mine came out. It was walking past and was like, "Oh, finally, your car is here. I saw the day you drove it in. what you packed it, how you left with your missus, and you came back, and the car didn't come back with you. And then I saw the car in the garage. I was like, Oga,
So
you
you be
put
I
this,
monitoring
say
all this
download
while.
everything just now.
you be monitoring spirit. When I told my wife that, see what my wife is like, how manage? I like how did he, it was so accurate with, as if he was with me, because these guys, they are okay. There are two things: they mind their business, but at the same time they are very nosy. That's the word. So when you're trying to say, they mind their business, yes, in a way, they know how to not say hi to you. Like, I stay in my flat. The flat, I've stayed in this flat for over 2 years. I'm staying right now. I can tell you, I don't know all my neighbors. I know a couple of them, but I cannot tell you I know all my neighbors. I see one or two some days, and I know that they are even staying in this house. One of my neighbors, it was about 2, 3 weeks ago. I knew him. I met him for the first time. After 2 years. So, but if na Nigeria, by now, I don't even know the next flat, the next
You go parking,
compound,
you no go
that
cook
And,
for
and
neighbors.
I,
Say you go
the
parking,
whole
you no go cook
street.
for neighbors.
The whole street, I go down from the starting of the
my
street. I
brother,
don't know everybody to the
How
end of
you
the
want
street.
even parking? Wait, how you want parking? Where you no go cook
I
for
dey tell you.
neighbors? You no go carry food. They can...
They go follow
So,
you park load enter the place sef.
no,
and that's the truth. In Nigeria, when you, as you are moving to as you drop the van, your neighbors all they help you, they load things. Baba, what
Ah,
you need?
now you be the
Oh,
new neighbor
well,
for here. If I they
Or
don't
I
they
dey
give
tell
you
you as
hint.
in
now you
But
dey
normal
take
I
this
stuff.
house.
think
So, you go enjoy the
I
compound.
think
Oh,
I think this conversation I would take it from our society to this diaspora. It was
Okay.
Chino Achebe that wrote one of his thesis essay in 19 I think 1970 something. I read it. It was either 1970 something, 19 or something. Like he said, um, in his article, he said that um, they were in the party. There was a guy who was, African people. We used to value life regardless of anything. So it was just the new phase of um, our cultural evolution that it was falling to him. So a car hits a guy, and the guy was, in a nutshell, the guy was actually bleeding and he was fighting for his life. So everybody suggested, because naturally the life is important than anything. Sir, please, 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 let us carry this guy into your car and take him to the hospital. But the guy just bought the Mercedes and he said, no, not my car. You guys are going to find a bike or another car to carry him. I don't want his blood to stain my car. And it was until they got another man who volunteered, a Peugeot. The guy didn't even care to the guy. They rushed. He said he was an observer in the whole scenario and he asked himself, how did we get to this point? So that was
so did
cultural
this happen in
evolution.
Nigeria or abroad?
Nigeria. That happened in
Wow.
Nigeria. So now let's take that cultural evolution to what is going on in diaspora. Don't let me put my personal comments first. The British right wing politician just last week, that's Nigel Farage, said that he was making a comment in an interview, mainstream media for that matter, and he said that immigrants that come in here are supposed to bear integration in mind. They are supposed to come
Right.
and integrate into their society. But what has been obtainable in recent time is that people coming and pointing at their own culture, at saying this is not right, this is not right, and you guys are not in your country, that they don't give a damn. You are supposed to integrate in their system. You are not supposed to come here and tell them what to do. Well, I would say partly, if we look critically into that statement, he is right. Coming from someone who this is his land, he might be, from a right wing politician, what do you expect? But if we look at it critically, at the evolution of culture, that everything changes, I would proceed to him that he is not being realistic. Is he trying to tell me that that is a battle he can win? Because evolution is taking place right before his eyes, whether he likes it or not. So, cultural evolution is something that we've witnessed over time. We know some certain culture who that have actually made it so stringent, so tight for anyone to marry their own person. As a matter of fact, they can revoke your citizenship if you marry outside their culture. But do we still have cases where those certain people married elsewhere? Yes. So what happened? Cultural evolution. You can't stop evolution. So these are the things that you have to. I encourage people to have an open mind when they are leaving their homeland. As a matter of fact, if right under our nose, even in our country, we are experiencing cultural evolution, we know as we battle in our home, fight our parents based on ideologies that during our time, no, Papa, these are things that right before their eyes, you see your papa saying, this life don't spoil. Cultural evolution. So cultural shock comes just like us say, and you have said, in two phases. And I say that we will see differences, yawning gap differences, alarming one that will shock you, and you see similarities as well. So while you guys have touched the differences, let's touch about the similarities. It is a known fact that we cherish some certain things that they cherish. They value some certain things that we value, like hard work. We cannot take it away from these people. If you cannot work, you don't deserve to be even counted as part of their population census because you are already a minus, a liability, and they didn't create this system for a liability to thrive. And what do we have obtainable in our culture also? We
Dimeji,
prioritize hard work.
I will stop you there
Okay,
because I might forget. I will
okay.
stop you there. You talk about they did not create the society for liabilities to thrive. I disagree with you.
All right.
They created the society for liabilities to thrive, but not for immigrants to be liabilities
True,
to thrive.
true, true,
I
true.
correct you there. Williams, I don't know if you
Okay.
understand.
Yeah,
Look at the
right.
back of a biometric permit.
Yeah,
What
you are
does it
not
say?
you are not entitled. Wait, now I'm driving somewhere. I'm not,
All right.
see, to be honest, I am not an authority to say that I'm 100% right. I stand to be
Of
corrected.
course.
But my
Of course.
opinion with what I've seen so far is that if you are relying on all these benefits, I have well, I'm not going to put name out. I have guys I know I know some people who are relying on this benefit. They have also been strictly observed, not for their NI to read. You've declared an ailment. It's either they provide a facility for you, you guys go through some scrutiny that you yourself would question yourself if you actually, does it worth it or not? Even their citizen that thrive on benefit on childbirth, having you know special children, they are nurturing some health and everything. Let me ask you that question: do we, with all the thing they cater for them, okay, you can come to this special mental facility, you can come this, you can, do we think in our right thinking sense that is a kind of life we will choose?
Osege,
L-
what do you have to say about
Lane,
that? It's an open question.
Uh, I'm, well, I wouldn't choose that anyway. But then there are definitely similarities as well as differences. But to say that they value hard work. I understand that in principle, that they encourage you to work hard, right? If you want to get the best. I mean, its system is designed that way. However, I think they also run away from hard work. I think they prefer mental jobs than physical, right?
human beings,
Because
human
from
beings,
yeah,
human beings, we are
okay,
funny people. We always find a
okay,
way to find a crack in every system and we penetrate because we are very smart beings. There is no law that can actually in stop human beings from committing crime. We just have
Of course,
we have that
that's
we
very
have that
true.
we have that innate. The smarter the law, the smarter the criminals. So
true,
I'm just trying to say the similarities before the differences. Well, it's arguably, but they know it. It is a known thing to them because if they don't know what hard work is, nobody has actually built upon this kind of civilization, whether they thrive on making use of people, or okay, making use of people for work, or they have historical questioned past, but we can't take the fact away that it's a known thing to us. Now, respect also. I'm not talking about the demise. They also have they are going through what we call because their culture has permitted some things to be in place. But if you see the older folks, they understand the respect. I have gotten the better parts of older folks here by just using the word "thank you, sir," and they understand respect and they give respect. Just we have excesses in every culture. We can't lie. Even in our culture, we have excesses. But I'm just
Of course.
saying the similarities. They know it. It's something that is obtainable. That's why they know that this guy is being rude. He's being cheeky. It's in a language. If they don't know you to be cheeky, then they won't expect you to be respectful. So it's something that they believe that someone civil enough should be respectful enough. That's two. Three, they know the value of time, and which we also know. We have this in our culture that if it's biblical, but in our culture we know, coming from the agricultural setting, the pre-colonial setting, and all, we know that we get up very early because that's the best part. We get to the farm so that we can actually work before the sun comes out, to now become a burden on our skin and hull, to slow us down before it's evening. They also know the value of time. These people will time you, they pay you based on time. So these are the similarities, and on before we look at the differences.
No,
So
when you
the
talk
reason,
about similarities,
But for time, I was
the
even
major.
going to say time. Time is
Okay.
arguable. Oh. We don't have value for time. Not in
good.
Nigeria.
I like that.
I honestly disagree on that. We don't. It's the
We don't have
reason.
value for time.
Yeah.
Your
It's the
punctuality, you say,
reason.
but
Yes.
time to
Okay.
stand
Okay.
up
Well.
for
Okay. Well.
something,
Okay. That's
punctuality.
yeah. If you
Okay,
structure it like that, then
when
I
you talk,
agree.
see, when you even talk about punctuality, Dimeji, I will tell you in Nigeria, in terms of punctuality, we are still lagging behind.
Yeah, that's
Let me
that's
let
what
me
Osa is
let me tell you
agreeing to.
something. I told you there's a school just opposite me. I observed the school. I've been observing the school recently. School starts by 9 a.m. By 10 minutes past 9, the gate is locked. You will never see any people or student going to school at 10 past 9. It's a principle already set down. So I've checked over time and I've seen that 10 past, the school starts by 9. 10 minutes is the hour of grace. After 10 minutes, the school is locked. Nobody goes in again to resume school. Then the school closes at 3 o'clock. By 10 past 3, by 5 minutes to 3, you see the crowd of people in front of the school, parents, and everywhere is looking rowdy. By 10 past, I come out and the whole place is like a graveyard. I'm trying to understand the fact that, number one, there's been this, the understanding they have for time is way different from the understanding we as Africans have for time. So there's no similarity because I have
Well,
a couple of my friends who have been called from the school to say, please come and pick your children. It's 15 parts 3. We haven't seen you. Your child is still in school. What's happening? But in
well,
Nigeria, where we come from, students, people stay in school sometimes till 6 o'clock waiting for parents to come pick them up.
well,
So you see
well.
that's different.
K. To be
Yeah.
honest, you are right. Osa is right. We are all right, but we're coming from different angle. I'm
All
saying
right.
time, some setting out early is not alien to us. Now, punctuality is not my conversation. In the time, who is more accurate? But we value the fact that you have to get up early, go to your farm. If you don't, we don't, we don't. Just like we know the time to plant corn. It's not alien to us. We know the time to actually lay down some seeds in the earth and all. I'm just saying it's not alien to us. But who is more professional in this is another discussion entirely. But I'm just
But
talking about the area of similarities.
setting out early is not even the value of time here because when you're talking about setting out early, it depends on that is relative to
On
the
job
nature of
function,
work
right?
you're doing.
For farmers,
Exactly,
right?
it's
Yes,
relative.
exactly.
Mm,
So it's not
mm.
even a matter of you setting out early because you somebody a white person who has to resume work by 10 o'clock won't say I want to set out early and get out of the house by 7
Nah.
if they have nothing to do. Because
But
even
they
if you
meet
look at
up.
setting out, let me give you an example of setting out early. Have you not gone for appointments where they say don't arrive earlier than 15 minutes
True.
before the time.
True. True.
So they don't even want you to set out, come at the right time,
Well, the
but
truth
don't.
is, no, most of the time, the truth is, you would
Yeah.
actually be there before that 15 minutes. You can just actually hang around.
But they
Then you
won't
walk
let you
in.
go. They won't let you hang
Yeah,
around.
yeah, yeah. I
It
did.
has happened to me on several occasions.
See, please allow me to answer this guy intellectually. I'm actually
All right.
answering this right-wing politician. Now,
All right.
he said the word integration. As much as
All right.
integration is beautiful, I feel these right-wing people do not understand the social social and cultural factor that is playing out in the society. They are, I think are positioned in a way where they just see things and they think this is the way it should be. But those people that are at the heart of it understand. Now, when you talk about integration, which I understand is point from the point of view of, yeah, this is encroachment and all. What about identity? We have Russians, we have Mexicans, we have Spanish people, we have Africans. Even I don't want to even generalize we being Africans because we are different. We have Nigerians. The characterization of Nigerians and their identity, their value system is different from the Ghanaians. It's different from the South Africans. So these people, even in the international terrain, they want to project their identity and they deserve. We have rights. It's part of the human rights to project our our cultural identity. So in doing this, as much as it is not impeding or it is not obstructing your own expression, then everybody is good to go. Why do we have association of Indians people even in diaspora? Why do we have association of Nigerian people, whatnot country? And even leaving that aside, you as a Nigerian person, you know the culture of doing business with the Russian people. Where Nigerian people you can bargain price to some culture it is offensive. They don't even lie about the price. Once they tell you a price and you are coming there to bid down the price, they stand up, they take you as a very unserious fellow. Why there are
That's
some
right.
people that once you sign the contract, there is nothing that must change that contract. There is an identity known to the Japanese which transcends even to their psyche in business, their psyche in society. That's why people were surprised in the World Cup that Japanese people could not leave the stands unless they picked all the dirt, because to them that is a culture. That is that cleanliness. They can't leave a place dirty. It is part of them. It is part of who they are. So because that culture favors you, and there's another one where you have clash, where we have now experienced shock, doesn't mean as an intellectual person or you come from a right-wing person, you are not supposed to sit down and understand, okay, this is a cultural issue that we need to address, and both parties must come from the understanding angle. You can't just come out and
Uh,
make such a statement.
Dimeji, let me come in here. The truth is, there's what is called cognitive dissonance. It's a theory of communication, which states that when somebody is faced with an opposing view, contrary to your pre-existing views, there's always this dissonance in your mind, which is normal. Is normal. For me, I was speaking with someone at work the other day, and she was telling me she went to Africa once. They were driving in Kenya, and they noticed that there's no traffic laws in Kenya in terms of speeding, in terms of how you overtake, in terms of, you understand, how you park and all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And to them, it was alien to them because they've never experienced such. In the UK, you have to follow the rule by the letter. And they went there, but they had to assimilate to the culture of the people. They had to drive because sometimes the truth is some of this cultural, will I call it cultural? I'm trying to look for cultural container that you are being put in. There are
Mm,
times you want to find expression, but because of the
definitely.
culture of that place, you find it how to find expression. So when you go
Yeah.
to another place where you notice things are different, there are some people who react in excitement to a culture that is different from theirs. And they were like, wow. A classical example in Nigeria, when before now, a guy who braids his hair, have piercings and all that, they see you as
It's tagged as some sort of a
exactly.
bad thug,
Yeah, yeah.
what not.
So you see that tag, but a lot of Nigerians who have come here, I know a lot of Nigerians who came here.
That's
The
the evolution
first
I'm
thing
talking
they
about.
did,
Evolution.
the first thing they did was to braid their hair because they say no, this part of this culture is something I like. It's they
And so
embrace some part of the culture.
and,
So
so,
that's
and
where
wait, I'm sorry. This conversation is very. I will need to be interjecting because I don't want to forget. It's just like
no problem.
I was telling someone of recently. Before in Nigeria, I used to criticize some habits. One of it is like smoking weed and all. The person was surprised when I was advised. I said, I don't have problem with you smoking. You can smoke, but just make sure it doesn't control you, whatever substance you're taking. And it was like, do I now hate him? I said, no, try to get me. I will be an hypocrite if I have seen what I see now. And I said that maybe, oh Jesus Christ, I'm sorry to say this. Maybe we are going to have another topic, and the topic will be sin is an exaggerated concept. We should put that aside. I was like telling him that, to be honest, things I used to consider sin before, I don't think it's a sin right now to me, because I'll be an
Why don't you
hypocrite,
think it is?
because they are vain conversation. They are cultural. They are just culturally tagged conversation. Look, if our gods, our native gods like Shango, can be answering people worshiping them in Brazil, even our gods don't japa. They don't. The evolution don't meet our tradition. Then they worship Oshun for Haiti. Then they do Oshun Oshogbo for where Rihanna go of recent, all these Caribbeans. Then get shrine where them Kuna for lion and everybody they go there and people they worship them. Even our gods, they answer them in the international terrain. So who tell you that we are just limited to think and to see from one content lens, from one view? So I don't really believe,
Williams,
but that cultural shock now,
I
integration and
would
uh,
identity is where
I would
the issue comes
honestly
from.
wait for that conversation, that topic. We'll sit
Williams,
down.
I like you to say something now because the major has said a lot about things he considered sin. Now they're not sin because he has evolved culturally. But the question is, do you think everybody who experience an alien culture evolves into the culture or
No,
try to retain some level of identity?
no, not at all.
Because that's where the problem lies.
But something will
What do you
force you
think?
to have it. Something will force you. Okay, please,
No,
sorry, William.
the
Sorry,
thing is,
sorry.
no, I know Williams has something. I did look at eye. William get what he in mind. William say it,
I know,
say it.
I don't get up. But I mean, it's truth is there are no concrete rules. All of these things are subject to individual beliefs and perceptions. But one community I'd like to project here is the Jewish community. They follow the same standards wherever it is they decide to settle. And that's a strong, very strong culture that they have. Recently, when this whole rubble with Palestine, and you saw a number of them willingly came back home to join the fight, not just from one particular country or continent, all over the world, right? Because that culture is almost now house matter, or we go carry am for head, we go back. Do you understand? As this is living very flourishing, thriving businesses and all of that to go back and fight. And then it's how their close knit community they tend to help each other set up businesses, employ their own, just to make sure that. And then you can't really tell the difference between the Jewish community in the UK and then Jewish community in the US, Jewish community, and I mean they
That's where
all act.
that's where we need to learn. We need to take
Dimeji,
positive
that is
and
where Dimeji, wait, that is where I want to counter you because you have talked about cultural evolution.
How you must
The
integrate and how
problem,
you must,
yes, the
okay,
problem we have as Nigerians, I'm specific about Nigerians. The thing is, we don't have strong cultural roots.
at
So
all.
we just come. Somebody, a Johnny who just came for the first 1 month, he's shocked. And I saw that they do this here. And the next thing, it's sweet to I go act like that. Even in Nigeria, our own cultural roots in Nigeria, we are losing our cultural identity even in our own country.
True.
The way we
please buttress.
dress,
Please buttress.
the way we dress, the things we see as normal right now, there are things that naturally are not normal to our culture. There are things I would love to say, but there are things I can't say.
I
The,
know,
the
I
only
know.
part I will talk about is dressing. Let me tell you something. Before now, I'm not saying dressing does not evolve. Dressing evolves. Before now, when you see in Nigeria a girl who wears a super hyper micro X mini skirt, those clothes are considered for for the club, nightclubs, and all that. You understand?
Mhm.
But right now, you see loads and loads of people in Nigeria, clothes that are supposed to that they wear naturally for like maybe artists wear to perform. Girls in Nigeria, they are wearing it on the street, broad daylight, and they
You
don't
know
see
why?
anything wrong with that.
You know why? Can I come in?
What?
I see.
Comment.
I love. That's why I always love 3,000 miles. We always
Yeah.
have it real. There is a global agenda. I'm not trying to push our fault on anybody, but it's a known fact. There's a global agenda. Be careful here. There's a global agenda in order to make everybody look the same way. So if we agree upon some certain things, that seems to be the trend right now. It will infiltrate our mind, it will infiltrate our music, it will infiltrate our movie, it will infiltrate, and those things will have a multiplying effect on our day-to-day life. What is happening to our value system? Like you said, it is crumbling. We can see there was a celebrated. I don't even know who for a society to make such a person an enigma to be listened to already says a lot about society. But I see such a person as a celebrated idiot that was invited on a podcast recently that was just gibbering, she was saying nonsense. And this just a replica of the multiplying effect of what I am saying. And now, when we go back there, we look at the agenda. You talk about the Jewish people. The Jewish people, the Jewish people also had evolved. To be honest with you, for you to find women in their military force, in their militia, and all before it doesn't used to be so. And these are people that they cherish a certain religion before. Now if you go to Israel, you find that there are more Muslims and mosque and all. That is a conversation for another day. But even their culture has evolved. But there is one thing that binds them all together, and that is the fact that they came out from that historical perspective. They came out of struggling, and they understood the fact that it takes a firmness and unity for them to survive as a race. And over time, they have also suffered, but they have learned from their own historical realities. But what has happened to us is that our leaders, they are Europeans in black skin. So they seem to be pseudo black people to us. But they are not black people, they are not African people. These are people who have mentality that they don't even want to build the land. They don't even understand that they need to filter even media. And it's happening in some countries. Look at what we're having. A country that has the mind that, oh, I want to be a top tier country. And even not just equate, I want to surpass, like China. You can see what is going on in their TikTok. But we don't understand what is called a regulatory. We don't understand a regulation of social media. We don't understand what is called. We need to filter the media. And the media has become the most powerful channel in order to attack the minds of African people. Now look at what is going in Congo. I was talking with a friend the last time, and we said, "What is African Union conversation around Congo?" You'll be surprised that African Union is more interested in sending vote observers to the UK than talking about active intervention in Congo. And I'm not surprised because a lot has happened in African countries that their interventions are nothing to write a home about.
The
So
thing is,
these are
Dimeji,
structures that we need to talk from the top before we bring it
Dimeji,
to the
you are
social
very
economic.
correct. You are very correct, honestly. But I'll tell you the truth. Do you know the fact is that even it's when it comes to down when it boils down to culture and everything, it is us Africans who are not even trying to really do that cultural preservation here in the UK. Let me give you a very valid example. I was working once, I went for a job. Normally I used to work in the hospital before where you can't wear head covering or anything of such. But I've seen Pakistani ladies and all that. They are telling them that I have to cover it's part of my culture. And the truth is that the British people respect other people's culture very well. I've
Yeah,
seen people who have come into
that's
work
a known
with their
fact.
hair tied and everything because it's the way you present your culture It is the way you present it. They will really retain it. A classical example for me: when I gave birth to my first son, I was told, you can't, we don't do circumcision in the hospital and all that. I was like, really? It's like, that's what we do. It's a culture in Nigeria, culture in
Yeah,
Africa. I know most African cultures, they say, no, we don't do it. So I had to like get to I went to a Jewish place, a
yeah, same,
registered
same
Jewish
as
place.
mine.
Because, yeah, they had Jewish places and everything. I registered and I did it there. So when I had my second son, I was like, here we go again, same process, so expensive. And a friend of mine told me, do you know that they now do circumcisions in the children's hospital? I was like, are you serious? So like, yeah, gave me a number and I called, I confirmed. Yes, they
Wow.
do. And I'm like, wow. So they've come to understand
That
that,
the
okay,
culture, so they need
that
to
we have
respect
people
other
among
people's.
us who have this as a culture. We have to now assimilate it because we see them as part of us. So the truth is, there are going to always be some bad eggs who don't want people.
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
is just how life is. This politician you're talking about is one of the right wing politicians who are always thinking we don't need immigrants. They are menace
and
because
this
I
thing.
saw the. Oh, you
No,
wanted to say
continue, continue.
something?
No, no,
Because
continue, continue.
I've seen a lot of people who are against. You see some cultures are pro immigrant, some are against. I was reading a manifesto
Hmm.
from, was it Labour, one of the parties, who said, if we come in, we're going to reduce the immigration levels and everything. So there are people who are pro immigrants and there are people who are not, who are against it. But the fact is that they need to understand the financial contributions, the underlying financial contributions
Exactly.
immigrants have
See,
contributed to this
it's not.
country.
See. When you put that in that perspective, it seems as if it is an appealing, but this is what is obtainable to make a nation run. Look, people drive economy. People, I repeat, people drive the economy. What they are suggesting right now, which I just want to be careful with my words. If I was on X or Twitter, that was a free zone. I would have said my mind. Is that some people feel like some certain sect of people are too many. That
Yeah,
is, there are too many here. So as such, some people are hiding that Brexit issue, the Brexit law should be. So let us have more. That's like I said. I want to be careful with my words. And why some people are also saying that, okay, why can't we train our people? And when we want to train, we should bring them from the European country. That's another conversation. But we need to understand something. At critical moments, people drive economy. And
yeah,
when we look at the ratio of the population increase, the influx that has happened over time, and the GDP, the multiplying effect it out on the GDP, it's a win-win.
yeah. That's
It's
very
a
correct.
win-win. Now, the educational sector, if we look at the multiplying effect of people who came to study over from the COVID to the to this recovery state and all, it has been an enormous, more than 100% increase. So when we are not looking at that people drive economy and contribute and workforce tax influx and all, we can see the multiplying effect in that aspect. So we understand the fact that, oh, we are talking about infrastructure, not enough for the people and all. So those are not those are not faults of immigrants. Now, when we talk about social issues of the crime rate and everything, you cannot impede and put a pin and say this is the reason why there's an increase in crime rate, because my research and your research so far cannot say that this is the reason for crime rate. So except you are just being sentimental, that is the only word I'm allowed to use professionally here. Except you are being sentimental, that you now nail all the vices going on in society and say these are the people responsible for it. So at that long run, we're still talking about cultural shock. These are the cultural shocks that we experience because we are loving people, we are communal people, we love people, we actually want to express
We
and
want to
meet
relate
people,
with
we
everybody,
want to relate, we
explore.
are loving
Yes.
people. But to now to now come from the angle of trying to change your perspective because we some certain people have been stigmatized. It is not our duty. We just two issues about cultural for me. I said integration, he had a valid point, but not it is not encompassing. And we have identity. People want to express their nature, they want to be real, and they want to be accepted. So while we are
See, I
expressing our
was about to say something. I was about to say something as regards that. But what I'll do, I will tell you guys off air. One of my experiences. I can't share it on, or I can't share it. But I'll tell you guys later off air. But
Okay.
let's try and tie this up because we got less than 10 minutes left and all that. So because we're still coming back for more because this topic is inexhaustive right now. We're
yeah,
still
yeah,
coming back
it
for more.
is.
But let's tie this up because we've talked a lot about ranging from perspectives, cultural perspectives, retention of culture, and everything. Because to be honest, the main aim of when I was drawing up the synopsis for 300, the main questions I looked to solve is how do immigrants, how do we preserve cultural preservation, then cultural, how do we transcend our culture to the next generation? That's the basic thing. Because, first of all, right now you're coming from you're bringing your culture because immigration is all about cultural importation. That's one
Mm-hmm.
thing you
Sure.
should understand is you because no matter where I go to, I'm importing my culture because right now I have a lot of white people who I know have tried jollof rice. I've tried the goosey soup.
Yeah,
Why? Because of people who immigrants who came in and they interfaced with.
Hmm.
So I'm exporting, I'm
yeah,
importing, exporting my food and cultures and everything. So the question is, in the face of, because like I always say, the British culture is very imposing and intimidating. Before now, I came from Nigeria. I don't like drinking tea. But right now, I drink tea almost every day because whenever I go to the office, I'm always, you want a cup of tea, a cup of tea, a cup of tea,
yeah,
and not wanting to sound rude, I'll say yes.
yeah,
You understand? So, but I'm assimilating culture, but at the same time, there should be a balance because I cannot just throw my culture away because I'm in a new environment.
True. True.
I can't throw that away. I have to know, okay, how do I balance? Because at the end of the day, it's all about creating a balance, maintaining my culture. Then how do I pass on that to my children? Because I gave birth to my two sons here. They are interfacing with, they interface with more British people than more Africans
yeah,
on a daily basis. So, but how do I instill the culture I've learned from my parents in Africa and still keep that for myself and still pass on to my children? And they still pass on to my children. Because at the end of the day, some traces are going to be lost.
definitely.
Because as
Well,
you're as it's trickling
I
out,
won't use the word lost because see, that word is big. I will use the word evolve. Evolve is positive. What you've done is a positive thing. You've explored.
Dimeji,
You've
you are
you've
just
you've
trying to give it a good name. Evolve. Williams, that is what you are
my,
trying to give it a good name.
my
Evolve.
my brother.
Williams, I want to ask you one question. When was the
Uh,
last time you spoke Benin to your children? You spoke your language to your children.
I don't think I've ever, to be honest.
Imagine.
And then the problem would be that I don't speak my language. I think I only speak about 10%. So the gap had begun from my own dad. But he could speak anyway, but I mean
He gave
he
you
didn't teach
10%.
any of he yeah, I'm saying yeah. I mean
And now you
I
have given
speak
your
10%.
children 0%.
I,
So
zero
that's your
percent,
10%.
so
So Dimeji, what do you
you
call
can't
that?
give what you don't
Is that
have, right?
evolving or is it lost?
he started. He talked about it.
It's a little bit of both, I think,
He's
for
an
being.
evolution from his parents. So that's
Yeah, I
evolution
think
taking
so.
place already.
So at the end of the day,
So
at the end
I
of the
mean
day,
that's one way to put it. But I mean, it has to start from the top. The oil flows from the head, flows
Mhm.
downward. So if I didn't get that, I mean, there's little I can do to teach them since I don't even know. But it also takes a conscious effort, for instance, to start building that because there's a platform I belong to online, a WhatsApp group of Edo people here. And then so we propose that we'll have a meeting, frequent meeting, like maybe end of the month, where we can get to come with our families and then, have a teacher who gets to teach them some of those things, even online as well, so that that culture is not lost. So it takes conscious efforts to build those kind of things. So that's
In
with that. I think
Canada,
okay.
some artists that went there were they were outraged, they were angry that it is the Indians that are now teaching immigrants Yoruba language in Canada. So now people are patronizing our culture more like a tourist attraction and say, oh, and we from that culture also at some point in time we are so eager to drop it. So I will complete Chino Achebe's thesis like this, and that was his conclusion. He said what he has seen so far is that people are bringing the vices in their culture and marrying it with the vices of the foreign culture together and calling it change. He said no, you are supposed to look at the positive things in a culture and positive things in your culture together, and that makes you a better person. To me, I would say that makes you an evolved man. So that's the reason why this topic I didn't just look it from the negative aspect. I also assess it from the positive aspect. So
Of
where
course.
so where we also had excesses from our culture, which I don't want to spread our dirty linens out there, but we used to have some extreme like human sacrifice, blah blah blah. They also had it at some point in time, but we needed to drop that and realize that no, 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 this is not worth it. And so we have to bring out the positive aspects in our culture, like respect for elders, taking care of our parents, like value for education, work for your money, do not be involved in crime, many things, and bring out the positive aspect from their own culture and marrying it. Need I say that there are some things too that I'm so alien to that is shocking me? One of it is that I just add that they do swipe, marriage swipe. That you couple, one couple and another couple, you come together, you swipe, you change your wife, and all those kind of things. I've never had it in Nigeria. I'm just hearing it now. I listen to podcasts. I'm like, am I that old? I check the mirror and like, I'm not that old. So why? So these are the cultural shocks too. I explain. You hear some people say they did three some four. So I've never been that lucky. I don't know how. So don't get. I know that these are things that, but
I say I
I
never been
listen to
that lucky.
podcasts now. I'm now like,
So,
wow.
Dimeji, we are running out of time. We're running out of time. The thing is, today we just honestly, what we just did, we just scratched the surface
Uh,
because we've not even gone deep into things like we just talked a little about work.
After this topic, it is seen. It's an
Yeah,
exaggerated concept.
we'll go. We have it. We'll go there. But first
I
of
think
all,
also
we've
also
not
is
talked
really
about.
Yeah,
interested in
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. In a hurry.
Yeah, in a
Yeah,
hurry.
in a hurry.
We actually not. We've not talked about. We've talked a little about work ethics. I also
Mm,
want to look at from the aspect of finance, from the aspect of their gatherings, and
mm,
there are a lot of
mm.
aspects we're going to look at. But we
Food,
just scratched the surface now. Food
dressing,
and all that,
communication.
dressing. Yeah, we're gonna go there. So today we've just been able to really, scratch the surface and just trouble the
Yeah.
waters a little. And we're testing the waters. To be honest, 300 is a podcast where we go all out.
3,000,
Sometimes
3,000, 300 na Spartacus. Now the Spartans
3,000,
na
my brother.
3,000.
We're trying to bridge the gap. We've turned it to 300, but it's not that close, except it's the speed train we are using. So, but we've scratched the surface. We're still going to really, go deeper into the issues like how we have been able to, perceive how they dress, how the kind of food they eat, how they spend their money, how wages and finance and all that, which is totally different from where I'm coming from. The
Now that
value
dressing
for
they make me
money
laugh.
and
I remember
everything.
what you told me in the train the other day. Yeah, I'll remind you when we touch the dressing. When I
Oh,
just come in, when you talk to Jimmy, you go
okay, yeah,
blind
yeah,
though.
yeah. I say, Mama, you're just starting. You go see, you go
I
full.
go
You go
blind though.
drink water, you go sleep. So it's always fun having you guys around and having this talk. But it's sorry at this point we just have to draw the
Yeah,
curtain honestly.
yeah,
Like George said, 1 hour is not enough. 1 hour is not enough.
yeah.
I think we need to do a review of how to let's stretch it a
3
little bit.
hours.
Let's
Yeah,
stretch it a
Yeah.
little bit.
yeah,
But we're testing the waters and we're happy it's going well. I want to say big thank you to you guys for the contributions were solid for everything. Big shout out to Baron who is our producer, and also big shout out to George.
George. Oh God, George.
Oga George and the other George who does all the graphics and everything, who making three
Yeah,
thousand miles or so. I know we're going places. We're just
yeah.
scratching the surface. We're going places. So
Keep it locked
um
down for Jambo.
yeah, keep it locked down. Big shout out to all the guy all the way from Belfast, keeping it locked down and keeping it real in Belfast, and all the way from Teesside. And me, I still there. I now we there home front. I still hold on for Glasgow.
Scotland.
Yeah. It's a pity we have to draw the curtain at this point. But until we meet you guys next week, where we'll talk about the cultural shock syndrome part 2. Just keep listening to Jambo Radio. Keep it locked down, and
Yeah.
we'll see you guys next week.
All right, cheers. See
Have a
ya.
good week.
Bye.